Biblical word study. One more time. Here we go. And we're going to start with stumbling block. Did I got anything on here? I got stumble. All right, let me do a stumbling block. This word here, I'm gonna put it up on a new window, and it's 4383 in the Hebrew. 4383, stumbling block, and the word is mishkol or mixol. That means a stumbling block or an offense, and that's a masculine noun. And then this is probably the verb here. The verb is kashal. It means to fall or to stumble, to stagger. And the TWOT, for those of you who don't know, TWOT stands for Theological Word Book of the Old Testament. So if you have one of those, you would open up the book to this page here, and you would see this in the TWOT, as we call it, excuse me, and it'll show all of these words. I've got two of them here. I got the 4383 and the 3782. 3782. So these are the most, this is probably the verb here, right? Yeah, so this would be this stumble, totter, stagger. That's this one here. Okay, and this one here, 74.6. But now they break down the called work, therefore, at once with axes and hammers. That doesn't make sense. Axes. Oh, okay, this is 3781. So it's kashil. It's also in this TWOT 1050, but it's just one verse, and it has axes and hammers. I wonder what hammers is. Hammers one time too. Look at that. Kalaf, one time in the Bible. TWOT 978. Oh, that's Kayun. Is Amos 5:26. But you have borne the tabernacle of your Moloch, and Kayun, your images, the star of your God, which you have made to yourselves. So Kayun would be also connected with this somehow, with the hammer. All right, carve down the way. And this other word here, let's get down to, there's two or three other words here that I don't have yet, but we'll find them. The verb is used of physical falling, but numbers of times the figurative use of failing or ruin occurs, and that will be Psalms 64 and 8. Psalm 64 and 8 is, so they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. And we're taking that out of context, but if you want to read Psalm 64 and find out what that context is, you can tell that they're talking about somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about. So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves, and all that see them shall flee away. So you can go figure that out if you want to find out what that means. You can tell me. And 2 Chronicles 25 and 8. But if thou wilt go, do it. Be strong for the battle. God shall make thee fall before the enemy, for God hath power to help and to cast down. So here's the word here, to make thee fall, 3782, kashal. All right. Now, however, the root is rarely used in the sense in the New Testament, scandalizo, cause one to fall into sin. And that's the scandalon. When you get somebody to fall into sin, you are scandalon. We just looked at it here. That's not the number. The number is 4625. Here it is. So this is the one we were looking at with the scandalon. But this particular one says that, here we are. However, it is rarely used in the sense of the New Testament of scandalizo, to cause one to fall. The nearest to this is in Malachi 2:8. But you are departed out of the way. You have caused many to stumble at the law. You have corrupted the covenant of Levi, saith the Lord of hosts. And this stumble is the 3782. That's the kashal, where the priests, by their teaching, have caused many to stumble. And that would be in the NIV. In Jeremiah 18:15, it says, the idols made the people to stumble in their ways. But here the figure is a frequent one of a path representing the path of life. So in Jeremiah 18:15, because my people have forgotten me, they have burned incense to vanity, and they have caused them to stumble in their ways from the ancient paths, to walk in paths in a way not cast up. And we know what Jeremiah is talking about right before the fall, right before Babylon comes in and destroys Jerusalem. So Proverbs 4:16 says the wicked cannot sleep till they make someone fall, which probably, like Jeremiah, refers to the stumbling in the path of life. It is perhaps from this figure that the idea of causing someone to stumble into sin arose in the New Testament and in the Syriac usage of the word. Proverbs 4:16, for they sleep not, except they have done mischief. And you can look at all the people in the world that they can't go to sleep until they have caused some pain for somebody else, and it brings them pleasure. For they sleep not, except they have done mischief, and their sleep is taken away unless they cause some to fall. Imagine that. Your day is not complete until you make someone else's life miserable. And we see that on TV all the time, if you watch TV. Okay, so, and then mishkal, stumbling block, means or occasion of stumbling. Leviticus 19:14, thou shalt not curse the deaf, nor put a stumbling block before the blind, but shalt fear thy God. I am the Lord. And there's this stumbling block. That's the mishkal. And Isaiah 57:14, and shall say, cast ye up, prepare the way, take up the stumbling block out of the way of my people. It's an obstacle, a cause for guilt, occasion of stumbling. Get these out of here. I'll just click on this here. There we go. How long wilt thou depart from me, nor let me alone till I swallow down my spittle? What's the word in here? Let me look at something here. Hold on a second. This would be 1050. Sometimes they throw in a bogus verse, and we have to find out if it's the right one. 1050, TWOT, 1050. 1050, I have nothing in there. So I made no corrections. I just have to find the word here. How long wilt thou not depart from me, nor let me alone, till I swallow down my spittle? So I don't know what the word is in here. Let me look up. Let me see. Who can bring a clean thing out of an unclean? Not one. Stumbling block means an occasion to sin. An occasion for stumbling. On the wrath they shall sanctify their souls, neither stumbling block. So 4383, that would be the word. 4383. Now let's look for Job 7:19 in here. No, there is no Job, not even nothing close to Job here. So I don't know what they're talking about here. And then Job 14:4 is not here. Okay. Ezekiel 7:19, we got that. All right. Ezekiel 7:19, there's the stumbling block there. They cast their silver in the streets, and their gold shall be removed. Their silver and their gold shall not be able to deliver them in the day of wrath, Lord, It's like all the billionaires running around today, riding on private planes, got their private doctors. They think they're going to live forever. They will not be able to deliver them in the day of wrath of the Lord. They shall not satisfy their souls, neither fill their bowels, because it is the stumbling block of their iniquity. And then Ezekiel 14:4, therefore speak unto them and say unto them, thus saith the Lord, every man of the house of Israel that setteth up his idols in his heart, and putteth his stumbling block of his iniquity before his face, and cometh to the prophet, I, the Lord, will answer him that cometh according to the multitude of his idols. And we're going to get into idols a little bit. This is the Gilgul, Gilul. Comes from galal, which means to roll. Might get into some of this, but maybe not. But I'm still curious at what they were talking about here in Job 7:19. How long wilt thou not depart from me, nor let me alone till I swallow down my spittle? Who can bring a clean thing out of an unclean? Not one. I don't know what they were talking about in there. As regards to these words here, I mean, the thought might be synonymous, like a stumbling block type deal, but I don't see the words in there at all, and they're not even listed here. So, defense of the heart in his 1 Samuel 25:31. That this shall be no grief unto thee, nor offense of heart unto my Lord, either that thou hast shed blood causeless, or that my Lord hath avenged himself. But when the Lord shall have dealt well with my Lord, then remember thine handmaid. So she was talking to, this is probably, what's her name, talking to David, Abigail. Let me see. I'm just guessing at that, but I might be right here. Yeah, this is when David asked Nabal for some sustenance for his army, and Nabal said, "Who am I to give you something, man?" You know, it's a good story. And David was going to go kill Nabal and all his people, everybody that pisses against the wall, so to speak. And when Abigail saw that David hasted, she saw David, she hasted and lighted off the ass and fell before David on her face and bowed herself to the ground. So she knew that David was coming to kill Nabal and everybody else in the village. And she loaded up all these asses with fruits and vegetables and stuff to bring to David, because he's out there fighting in the wilderness. And she fell at his feet and said, upon me, Lord, my Lord, upon me let this iniquity be, and let thy handmaid, I pray thee, speak in thine audience and hear the words of thine handmaid. So she's going out there. Her husband Nabal doesn't know she's going out there. If he did, he probably wouldn't let her go. But she's going out there to save everybody's life. And she says, let not my Lord, I pray thee, regard this man of Belial. She's calling her husband a man of Belial. Belial is Baal, and it means worthlessness. He's worthless. That's what his name means. Regard not this man of Belial, even Nabal. So what does his name mean? Nabal. It means fool. So he's a fool. Even Nabal, my husband. Nabal is his name, and folly is with him. So you get the definition of words right in the verse when you want to find out what something means. Like John says, this is love, that we walk after his commandments. What's love? Walking after the commandments. This is Nabal. He's a fool. Folly is with him. Let me see what that word folly is. Folly. Look at that. It's the same as Nabal. Nabal, Nebalah. Folly. Nabal, fool, foolish, senseless. Nobel, to fade away, to be senseless, to be foolish. So all of these words have to do with foolishness, senselessness, and of course his name, Nabal, means foolishness. But I, thine handmaid, saw not the young men of my Lord, whom thou didst send. So David sent a bunch of people to Nabal to ask for food and stuff. And Nabal said no. And now, therefore, my Lord, as the Lord liveth, and as thy soul liveth, seeing the Lord hath withholden thee from coming to shed blood, and from avenging thyself with thine own hand, now let thine enemies and they that seek evil to my Lord be as Nabal, a fool. And now this blessing which thine handmaid hath brought unto my Lord, let it even be given unto the young men that follow my Lord. So she says, I hear, I'm bringing you all this stuff on all these asses for your men, and let it, I give it to them. She says, I pray thee, forgive the trespass of thine handmaid, for the Lord will certainly make my Lord a sure house, because my Lord fighteth the battles of the Lord, and evil hath not been found in thee all thy days. So she knows that David's a good guy. Yet a man is risen to pursue thee and seek thy soul. Who's that? Saul. But the soul of my Lord shall be bound in the bundle of life with the Lord thy God, and the souls of all thine enemies, them shall he sling out as out of the middle of a sling. So she's like prophesying here. She's seeing the future. And it shall come to pass when the Lord shall have done to my Lord according to all the good that he hath spoken concerning thee, and shall have appointed thee ruler over Israel, that this shall be no grief unto thee, nor offense of heart unto my Lord, either that thou hast shed blood causeless, or that my Lord hath avenged himself. But when the Lord shall have dealt well with my Lord, then remember thine handmaid. And this is Abigail. So he finally winds up marrying her. And she has, what's his name? She has a couple of kids. I can't think of who he is now. Hold on a second. Carmelitis, who became the wife of David after the death of her husband Nabal. The gracious woman humbled herself, confessed the iniquity of her husband. She appeased David. She showed wonderful faith and recognized the counsel of God resting upon David. She called him Lord. By Abigail, David had a son named Chileab. But he's called Daniel in First Chronicles. I thought she had more than that. This other Abigail, the half sister of David. She was the mother of Amasa. Okay. Okay. So we got a little history going here. And the word there was 31. No offense of heart. Right? Offense of heart. Mishkol. That was a quickie on this stumbling block and offense. And another word that I was doing synonymous words with this. Boy, this book is messed up. Okay. Mishkol, then 5063, 5062, and 4046. Yes, these are the words for, let me get this out of here. Put this up here. Well, let me just do this here. Okay. 5063 is Negef. Let me put it up here. Negef. Masculine noun, means plague or stumbling, blow, striking, plague. It comes from 5062, which is normally a verb, nagaf. It means to smite, to put to the worst, to strike. And then we have this other one here, 4046 is meg or magif, magifa, magifor. And this would be the feminine noun. So you got the masculine noun and the feminine noun and the verb. And it just means plague, slaughter, to stroke. And it's TWOT is 1294. So we'll throw that up there and see what we're going to read about this in a little bit. Let me take this over here, get the plague out of here. So there's the verb, nagaf, the feminine and masculine, all right? So our root denotes of blow, usually divinely meted, which is fatal or disastrous. For synonyms, see naga, which I think we just looked at. No, we looked at mishkol. Naga. I'll have to look that up. Also, note the parallels to our verb kata, which means crush, fine. Psalms 89:23. I will beat down his foes before his face and plague them that hate him. So beat down, this is the word they're talking about, kathath. This katat here, crush fine. So I will beat down his foes before his face and plague them, the nagaf, which is what we're looking at now, that hate him. So I should look this up, this 3807. Let me write it down here. Hold on. Oh, 3807. Where am I going to put it? Oh, 3807. I'll just put it on a hook over there. Kathat. And its effects. Noose means to flee. And I will set my face against you, and you shall be slain before your enemies. They that hate you shall reign over you, and you shall flee when none pursueth you. This is the Leviticus 26, where it talks about the blessings and the curses. The same thing as Deuteronomy 28, talking about the blessing and the curse. And you do this, you'll be blessed. You do the other thing, you're going to be cursed. So this is what he's talking about, the curses. I think this starts in verse 15. So I will set my face against you, and you shall be slain. 50:62. Nagaf. Before your enemies, they shall hate you. They shall hate you, shall reign over you, and you shall flee. There's the noose. Okay, that's what they're talking about here. See, they say noose and its effects. Noose means flee when none pursueth you. So these are synonymous words here. Moot means die or sickness, and our verb occurs 48 times. Is the verb here. I say I got 46 times here, but it's 48 times. Okay, the verb is used in Exodus 21:22 of a blow delivered with malice and potentially capable of causing death. If such a blow accidentally lands on a pregnant woman, causing premature birth and not a miscarriage, no death penalty is exacted. So if you're in a fight and you bump into a woman who's pregnant and she has a premature birth, there's no penalty enacted. Exodus 21:22. If men strive and hurt a woman with trial so that her fruit depart from her, and yet no mischief follow, he shall be surely punished according as the woman's husband will lay upon him, and he shall pay what the judges determine. So if they strive, natsah. No, that's 53. That's another word. 53, 27. 53:27. There's something else I should put down here. 52 OT 1399. Sorry, I'm checking my notes here. I don't know why I don't have this. 53:27. 53 probably wasn't conducive to the study, but I'm going to write it down on the side anyway. 1399, 1400. Oh, here's the word. If men shall strive, so the word strive here is the natsah. Strive, struggle, strife. 1401. All right. So maybe that's why I didn't put it down. There wasn't much to look at. Strive together, laid waste. So there's 11 verses here. All right. And hurt. That's what we're looking at. Nagaf, or smite, put to the worse. This interpretation is supported by the proximity of her fetus goes out, and there shall be no accident involving death. So Genesis 42:4 is accidental death. But Benjamin, Joseph's brother, Jacob, sent not with his brethren, for he said, lest peradventure mischief befall him, talking about his brother. Let's prevent your mischief befall him. I don't know what word they're looking at here. All right. So it's an accidental death. He's talking about the mischief, I guess, as well as verses 23 to 25. And she gives birth prematurely, or she has a miscarriage. This verse figures prominently in the biblical teaching regarding abortion. So is abortion acceptable? No, we know that. In several passages, our root is applied to a serious striking of one's foot on rocks. Wisdom guides one in walking sure-footedly. Proverbs 3:23. Then shalt thou walk in thy way safely, and thy foot shall not stumble. There will be no nagaf, not stumble. Indeed, God promises angelic help in protecting the godly. Everybody's talking about guardian angels now. When they see this, they shall bear thee up in their hands, lest thou dash thy foot against the stone. And even Satan used this on Jesus when he was in the wilderness, the 40 days when he was tempted by Satan. He says, the angels will have charge over thee, bearing thee up, lest you dash your foot against a stone. Let me see if I can find that cross-reference here. Hold on a second. Nope. You think they would have a cross-reference here with the New Testament when Jesus was being tempted in the wilderness, but you know. Okay. All right. Unfaithful Judah is summoned to repentance by the threat of exile, prophetically depicted as constant stumbling across dark mountains. Jeremiah 13:16. Give glory to the Lord your God before he cause darkness and before your feet stumble upon the dark mountains, and while you look for light, he turned it into the shadow of death and make it gross darkness. This is also in the New Testament. And let me see if it's something that they found here. Let me see, because Jesus said they that stumble in the day, they'll stumble in the daytime. Here you go. I think this is it. Then Jesus said unto him, yet a little while is the light with you. Walk while you have the light, lest darkness come upon you. For he that walketh in darkness, knowing not whither he goeth. But there's a better verse than that for this. Is one he talks about stumbling. The way of the wicked is the darkness. They know not at what they stumble. What's that? That's the one we just looked at. Okay. And that stumble is 3782. Yeah, that's the one we just looked at. Good, good. And then 1 Peter, a stone of stumbling. We'll get into the New Testament here in a minute. There's a couple of words I want to look at. The stumbling, stone of stumbling. Where's the stumbling? There's one that Jesus was talking about stumbling. Well, we'll run into it. Okay. I think we will run into it. That's Jeremiah 13:16. So in the eschaton, we know what eschatology is. It's the study of the end times. So in the end, all God's enemies will stumble over the Messiah or the stone of stumbling. Negef is used synonymously and parallel to mishkal, stumbling. So we just looked at mishkal, and we'll find those verses in the New Testament on a stumbling, stone of stumbling. And this one here, a blow, plague, striking. Our noun usually connotes a mortal blow or plague inflicted as divine punishment. Especially note Isaiah 8:14, negef occurs 7 times. So this Isaiah 8:14, I got that even circled over here because it's in both of these verses, both of the words we just looked at, the mishkal and the negef. And he shall be for a sanctuary, for a stone of stumbling, and for a rock of offense to both the houses of Israel, for a gin and for a snare to the inhabitants of Jerusalem. Both of the houses of Israel. How about that? Stone is eben of stumbling. That's negef. And a rock, a tsur of offense. So you got both of the words in this one verse, the mishkal and the negef. Hey, so that's good verse. And megapa, blow, pestilence, defeat, plague, ASV, and the same as 2 Chronicles 21:14. We just looked at, I believe. Behold, with a great plague will the Lord smite thy people and thy children, thy wives, and all thy goods. Ooh, who's he talking about there? Where the former has already a marginal reading, which is clearly preferable. In Ezekiel 24:16, our noun is frequently used of a blow, resulting from divine retribution. However, this is not necessarily the case for synonymous, nega, where it's going. So we looked at both of these words, nega and this other word we looked, meshkol. So the tears run down. Huh. All right. Get rid of this. See what else we got here in this study. This is the offense. So let me look up this stumbling stone. No, that's the scandalon. Let me get this other one here. Kill, slay, murder. Kill, slay, murder. We got that. And you see these words here. Kill, slay, murder. You see the murder. No, let me skip that. Here we go. Stumbling. 43:48 is proskama. It's a stumbling stone, an obstacle in the way which, if one strikes his foot against it, he stumbles and falls over. That over which a soul stumbles, i.e., by way, which causes sin, and it comes from 43:50, which is proskapto. And pros, of course, we know what pros is, to or unto, and kapto, which is to bewail or to lament or to cut down, to cut or to strike. There's different words here. Wait, let me see what this is. Hold on. All right, 32. Okay. To grieve, to lament, to read. Okay. But this other word here, what was I talking about? I forgot. I just lost my train of thought here. All right. And this would be theological dictionary. If you have the theological dictionary, this is what this stands for. If TDNT, Theological Dictionary of the New Testament, be volume 6, page 745. 745. This is proskapto. Another one that I haven't put anything in the margins about, so I've never read this in the Theological Dictionary, so I'm not about to start now and do it with you, which is what I do anyway. We're just studying here. So this word, it'll give you the usage. Proskapto, it means literal, to strike, to dash against, to stumble against something, to stumble. Let's see. And it gives you the usage in the olden days. It'll tell you about where it is in the book of Maccabees and all these other apocryphal books, and then it'll tell you where it's in what's his name, Josephus. They'll tell you where it's in Philo, and then they'll tell you where it is in the Old Testament. So they'll take this proskapto, and let me look at the verb here, 43:50. And if you throw it into the Old Testament, I'm going to put Old Testament here, Old Testament Greek, which would be the LXX. And what was the number again? Proskapto. Let me look here. It would be 43:50. So I'm going to throw it in here and show you. So it'll be G, 43:50. This is a good tool here also. This is eSword. If you have eSword, you can set this up. You can put up all the different Greek New Testament interference, Greek Old Testament with the numbers, Hebrew Old Testament, the KJV with the numbers. And you have this little thing here that looks like a binoculars. It helps you to search for things. So that'll show up here. So we got the Greek Old Testament, and don't tell me there's no verses found here. Hold on a second. There's got to be something. Greek Old Testament. What did I say? 4350? 4350. Tell me there's no verses. There we go. Okay. And you'll see Judges 2032. You'll see the word here, proskopto, to strike at. And all we got to do is figure out what all this Greek is here, because this is Greek. And we'll put it over here. And the children of Benjamin said, they are smitten down. So here's, what's this? 5062, Nagaf. Let me put this here. 5062, we just looked at that. Nagaf. The push to go, all right. I think that we looked at that. No, that's on my list. Okay. Yeah, we did. 5062, we did. Don't make a liar out of me now. 5062. I'm just, it's blowing my mind now there. Oh, 5062. Nagaf. Yeah. I guess we didn't. We didn't look at that yet. All right. So it's on my list. But where was I? So, and you'll throw this into the Old Testament, Psalms 90, 12. So teach us to number our days that we may apply our hearts unto wisdom. And when you look at Psalms and Proverbs, sometimes it doesn't make sense. Kier. Kier is hand. So it's different when you're looking at Psalms. Sometimes they'll put like Psalms 90:12, and it's actually 80:12 or 90:13 in reality. So it's probably 89:12. I'm not going to go crazy looking for this now. I'll just get away from Psalms, and we'll look at Jeremiah 13:16. Give glory to the Lord your God before he caused darkness and before your feet stumble upon the dark mountains. And while you look for light, he turned into the shadow of death and make it gross darkness. So there's the scandalier, there's the proskopto here. All right. So that's what happens when you take the New Testament word and you throw it into the Septuagint. Now, where was I with this? Okay. No, that's not what I was looking at. There we go. Scapto. Yeah, I was looking at Stumbling Stone. Here we go. And in the Theological Dictionary, 6, proskoma, properly means result of falling, destruction. Yeah, I'm just zipping through the Theological Dictionary right now, seeing what I can glean out of it real quick, because there's a bunch of pages on this. And you got the word group in the Old Testament and in the writings of Judaism. So the Hebrew equivalents, they'll give that to you. And if I had written these numbers down, I can give them to you real quick. Kashal, I'd have to look that up. We don't have time for that right now. Let me look at Proverbs. We did look at Proverbs 4:19. Let me forget about that. I'm going back and forth between the Old Testament and the New Testament. I like to do that. I'd like to take these words and throw them into the Old Testament and see what pops up. But here, I'm going to have to skip over to where it talks about in the New Testament and do a little reading here. The word group in the New Testament. Okay. In Old Testament basis, it is in its use of proskopto. The New Testament follows the Old Testament in two ways, in the form of quotations, like, and it says 90:12, but it's probably not 90:12. Psalms 90:12. It's 90 and 12. Let me see. Teach us the number of days when you apply our hearts unto wisdom. It's not in there. It's quoted in Matthew 4:6. So Matthew 4:6. Okay, this is how we're going to find it. In Matthew 4:6, it says, and saith unto him, if thou be the Son of God, cast thyself down, for it is written. Here is the one we were just reading. He shall give his angels charge over thee, and in their hands they shall bear thee up, lest thou dash thy foot against a stone. So I'm going to do a cross-reference on this. And it's Psalms, it's not Psalms 90:12, it's Psalms 91. You see, a lot of times when you look at in the book, in the theological dictionary, it'll say 90:12 if you have the book, but it's actually 91:12. They'll do that a lot. I don't know why. For he shall give his angels charge over thee to keep thee in thy ways. And this is in Matthew 4:6. This is Satan telling Jesus, and they shall bear thee up with their hands, lest they dash thy foot against a stone. So you got your guardian angels there, Jesus. Jump down off of this mountain. They'll help you. They'll pick you up. So, dash thy foot against a stone. So proscopto, they won't let you do that. And according to the Septuagint in Isaiah 8:14, which we just read, there's this. It's two times. Two different words in Isaiah 8:14 and Romans 9:32. Here we go. He says in Romans 9:32, wherefore? Because they sought it not by faith, but as it were by the works of the law, for they stumbled at that stumbling stone. And what's that stumbling stone? For the Jews, it's a stumbling stone, and for the Greeks, it's foolishness. What? The cross is what he's talking about. They're stumbling at that stumbling stone. And this is John 11, which I was going to get into about the sleeping and the death and all of that stuff. He talks about Jesus answered in John 11:9, are there not 12 hours in the day? If any man walk in the day, he stumbleth not, because he seeth the light of this world. And who's the light of the world? But if a man walk in the night, he stumbleth, because there is no light in him. So he's the light of the world. And then in 1 Peter 2:8, a stone of stumbling and a rock of offense. So let's get this. Stone of stumbling is 43:48. So that's the neuter noun, proskama. And a rock of offense. So this is the scandalon here. All right, so you got two of these words in here, the scandalon and the proskama. Even to them which stumble, that's the verb. At the word being disobedient, whereunto also they are appointed. They're supposed to. That's what they're doing. It's tithemi. So they were appointed to that, rendering the Old Testament. So a lot of this stuff, you go take it right back into the Old Testament. If you did a cross-reference on all of these verses, and it'll take you right back. Romans 14:21. It is good neither to eat the flesh, nor to drink wine, nor anything whereby thy brother stumbleth, or is offended. So you got both of the words here. You got proskopto, and you got scandalize. So we don't want to scandalize anybody, even though we know we could eat anything anytime we want, no matter if it was offered up to anything. And if we did that on our own, there would be no problem. But if you're with a brother or a sister and they're scandalized by that, don't eat, don't drink. That's what it's talking about. You don't want to cause them to stumble if they see you doing something that is questionable. Nevertheless, even though the usage is the same and the same phrases are used word for word, there has been in part a vital change in meaning. This corresponds to the general distinction between the Old Testament and the New Testament. For whereas disobedience, apostasy, and ungodliness are the causes of temporal destruction in the Old Testament, unbelief is the cause of spiritual hurt and eternal perdition in the New Testament. External injury is in view in the New Testament only in the quotation from the Psalms that we read in 91:12. And in Matthew 4:6, about he won't let his angels cause you to stumble. Though here proskopto is ambiguous in the lips of the tempter. So he's talking about Satan tempting Christ here. The same applies to the metaphorical use in John 11 and 9, which we read. John 11 and 9. Yeah. Okay, when Jesus was talking about the 12 days, the daytime, walk in the day, walk in the light. All right, so it applies to the meaning of offense. So you can give offense or take offense, as in the reference to a conscience, which takes offense. You don't want to cause anybody's conscience to be offended, or it suffers harm. And Acts, where's Acts? Acts, what do we got here? Acts 24:16. Let me look at this. Acts 24:16. 24:16. And herein do I exercise myself to have always a conscience void of offense toward God and toward men. Great. Void of offense. Let's look at that word. A proskopon. There we go. That's a good one. A proskopon. Let me see, where is this? Okay, let me do that. 677. 677. It's the negative. It's the alpha privity with the proskopto. So it's a proskopto. It's void of offense, none effect, no offense. Let me look at all these words. 677. 677. Get this out of here. Give none offense, neither to the Jews, nor to the Gentiles, nor to the church of God. 1 Corinthians 10:32, Philippians 1:10, that you may approve things that are excellent, that ye may be sincere and without offense till the day of Christ. That's it. I think the conscience, you don't want your conscience seared by that. That's 3 good words, man. And this would be in 6:7 for this. This is what I'm just reading right now. It's in the book. Beautiful. Beautiful. Let me ran across that. Now, where else? Romans 14:20. For meat destroy not the work of God. All things indeed are pure, but it is evil for that man who eateth with offense. So you don't want to eat with offense, which means if somebody else feels like it's offensive. Let me put it in context here. Romans 14:13. Let us not therefore judge one another anymore, but judge this rather, that no man put a stumbling block or occasion to fall in his brother's way. So we don't want to do a proskoma or a scandalon in your brother's way. I know I am persuaded by the Lord Jesus that there is nothing unclean of itself, but to him that esteemeth anything to be unclean, to him it is unclean. But if thy brother be grieved with thy meat, now walkest thou not charitably? Destroy not him with thy meat, for whom Christ died. Let not then your good be evil spoken of. For the kingdom of God is not meat and drink, but righteousness and peace and joy in the Holy Ghost. For he that in these things serveth Christ is acceptable to God and approved of men. Let us therefore follow after the things which make for peace, and things wherewith one may edify another. For meat destroy not the work of God. All things indeed are pure, but it is evil for that man who eateth with offense. It is good neither to eat flesh, nor drink wine, nor anything whereby thy brother stumbleth, or is offended, or is made weak. Hast thou faith? Have it to thyself before God. Happy is he that condemneth not himself in that thing which he alloweth. And he that doubteth is damned if he eat, because he eateth not of faith. whatsoever is not of faith is sin. So you don't want to cause anybody else to stumble by doing something that you know is not wrong, but they think it's wrong. All right. Let me see what else I got here. The goal of the tempter. I'm not going to get into this whole Matthew 4:6 thing, talking about the goal of the tempter. Falling in the night, we covered that. John 11:9. Falling in faith. Man is the cause of falling. The danger to the weak in Corinthians and in Rome. That's exousia. 1 Corinthians 8:9. I didn't know I was going down this path here, but this is where we're going. 1 Corinthians 8:9. Yeah, but take heed lest by any means this liberty of yours become a stumbling block to them of the weak. It's talking about the same thing, about not eating things that will cause your brother to stumble. That your liberty, that your exousia, the power you have, become not a stumbling block for them who are weak. For if any man see thee which has knowledge sit at meat in the idol's temple, shall not the conscience of him which is weak be emboldened to eat those things which are offended in idols? So, but we know nothing is impure here. And then we did that, Romans already. The exousia of the strong, which is legitimate as such as which Paul himself shares, becomes a proskoma to the weak with their as yet unconquered bonds. So he's not saying you shouldn't eat meat offered unto idols because it's just meat. Doesn't matter if it was offered unto idols. But if you got somebody with you that think it's wrong, you shouldn't do it. That's all. Paul issues admonitions, chiefly to the strong. So, those of us who know the truth, the apparent compromise of the strong with paganism in Corinth and the conduct of a related group in the religious life of Rome are a proskoma, however, only insofar as they cause genuine pain or difficulty for the brother. At issue in the question of proskoma are ultimate decisions, conscience of faith, sin, and perdition. The decisive reason for avoiding proskoma is agape, which in such cases demands renunciation of the exousia, the power conferred by gnosis, or the knowledge. If then the gnosis, the knowledge of the strong, is the original source of the proskoma of the kakan, which is the evil, and that's Romans 14:20. He's just going on to explain what I already explained, but he's probably doing a better job than I could. 14:20. For meat destroy not the work of God. All things indeed are pure, but it is evil for that man who eateth with offense. Kakan. Here we go. That's evil. That's the word evil. I was looking up evil. Here, kakan. Kakos. All right. Whereas agape is the source of preservation therefrom of kalon. What's kalon? Verse 21. For neither to eat the flesh nor drink the wine, nor anything whereby thy brother stumbleth, is offended, and is made weak. Astheneo. They probably got a misprint here. It's probably kakon. And this love, kalon. Here we go. It is good. Kalos. Here we go. I was confusing the kakao with the kalon. You see, you could turn one letter and you can make it mean something totally different. So agape is the source of preservation therefrom of the good, the kalon. And this love, which gives up freedom for the brother's sake. That's right. So Paul is an example to his church, not giving offense to others as a guiding principle for Christians in general and the apostle in particular. And we just read those verses, summing up the lines which he has laid down for the two groups of the strong and the weak in 1 Corinthians 8 and 1 Corinthians 10. Paul gives us in 1 Corinthians 10:32 an admonition which applies to all Christians. 1 Corinthians 10:32. 10:32. 32. Give none offense, neither to the Jews, nor to the Gentiles, nor to the church of God. So he's summing it up there. Thus, the avoidance of proscoma must be a guiding principle, not only in relation to brethren in the congregation, but also in relation to those who are outside, as represented by the two groups of the Judei and the Hellenists, so the Jews or the Gentiles or the Greeks. The kathos in verse 33, kathos, even as I please, and in all things not seeking mine own profit, but the profit many that would be saved. Where's this kathos here? There it is, kathos. Kathos in verse 33 might suggest for aposkaptos, ginomai, even as I please all men, seeking mine own profit, but the profit of many that may be saved. Okay. I just didn't get a chance to break down all these words here. In fact, however, aposkapos, ginomai, is synonymous with aresko. 1 Corinthians 10:32. Aresko. So this is the aposkopos. Please don't give a seeking no profit. But this areskos, I don't know what this areskos is. All right, I can't be doing this now with you guys watching. And aresko has in Paul more than the common sense to be pleasant or obliging. The point of the aresko, let's find out what this word is. Romans 15:2. Romans 15:2. Aresko. I mean, it sounds familiar. Aresko, here we go. Let every one of us please his neighbor for his good to edification. Aresko means to please. So here it is. Even as I please, here we go, all men in all things, not seeking mine own profit, but the profit of many. All right. The point of aresko in Romans 15:2 and the aposkapos ginomai in 1 Corinthians 10:32 is the avoidance of anything that might shake others in their faith. Whew, that's a long way to go to say that, or keep them from faith and thus prevent their sumphoron or salvation in 33. Well, we got sozo here. But he has sumphoron, probably in a rather different sense. Paul lays down for himself as an apostle the principle in 2 Corinthians 6:3. He's laying down this principle here, 2 Corinthians 6:3. Giving no offense in anything, that the ministry be not blamed. Whew. Okay. According to the context, proskapte didone, which is the ministry, has to be an act which makes reproach possible. And this Paul wants to avoid for the sake of the cause, whether the offense will be well-founded or justified or not. And in a similar train of thought is 11 and 12. It's the same thing. 11 and 12. I can't go all the way around here. 11, 12. I don't know if that's 2 Corinthians or what. 11, 12. But what I do, that I will do, that I may cut off from occasion from them which desire occasion, that wherein they glory, they may be found even as we. Occasion. Give occasion. Aphorme. So according to Paul's conviction, there ought not to be anything to cause offense at his ministry in the whole sphere of apostolic life, so fully described in verses 4 through 10. 4 through 10. Excuse me. 4 through 10. I think it might be the chapter. For if he that cometh preaches another Jesus, whom we have not preached, and that other Jesus is the one we just passed, sitting in the manger, that's the other Jesus. Or if you receive another spirit which you have not received, or another gospel which you have not accepted, you might well bear with him. For I suppose I was not a whit behind the very chiefest apostles, but though I be rude in speech, yet not in knowledge. It's like, he reads a lot, he knows a lot, but you don't know how to speak it. Sounds like me. But we have been thoroughly made manifest among you in all things. Have I committed an offense in abasing myself that you might be exalted, because I have preached to you the gospel of God freely? I robbed other churches, taking wages of them to do you service. And when I was present with you and wanted, I was chargeable to no man. He worked for himself. He was a tent maker. For that which was lacking to me, the brethren which came from Macedonia supplied, and in all things I have kept myself from being burdensome unto you, and so will I keep myself. As the truth of Christ is in me, no man shall stop me of this boasting in the regions of Achaia. Wow. Wherefore, because I love you not, God knoweth. But what I do, that I will do, that I may cut off occasion from them which desire occasion. So there will be no scandalon, no proscapto coming from me, Christ, the cause of all failing. Romans 9:32. Romans 9:32. I wasn't going to go down this road, but we did. 9:32. Wherefore, because they sought it not by faith, but as it were by the works of the law, for they stumbled at that stumbling stone. All right, so it's by faith, not that. But faith without works is dead. We know that, but we're not talking about faith to save. We're just talking about not talking about works that save, but we're talking about saving faith. Because they sought it not by faith, by the works, and they stumbled at that stumbling stone. Proscapto, at that stumbling stone. Lithos is stone, and proskoma. Lithos, proskoma. And 1 Peter 2:8 we read already. Okay, so Paul and 1 Peter, which is close to him in many passages, combined two quotations from Isaiah in two very similar sections and applied them in analogous fashion to Christ. And that's the Isaiah 8:14 we read. Isaiah 8:14. Where am I? Here we go. Isaiah 8:14. He shall be for a sanctuary, but for a stone of stumbling and for a rock of offense. Peter's quoting this, and Paul is quoting this. Isaiah. Okay. Christ is both the lithos proskomatos, the stumbling stone, and the Petra, akandalu, of Isaiah 8:14. Stumbling stone and a rock of offense. Okay. They have the Greek here, Petra, scandalon, a rock of offense. And see, in the Hebrew, it's tsur, mishkal, but in the Greek, it's a stumbling stone. It's a lithos proskoma. But there's also another word here. I got to find it. There's a lot here, but I can't read all of this. Oh, look at the time already. The starting points of the. So I guess this is as far as we're going to get with this tonight. The starting points and methods of the two combinations are, of course, quite different. Paul is dealing with the destiny of Israel, which stumbled on Christ. That's right. He was a stumbling stone to the Jews. Whereas 1 Peter is dealing with the spiritual building in which Christ is the cornerstone. The ways in which the Isaiah quotations are combined are also different. Paul puts the decisive double expression from Isaiah 8:14, where he's a rock of offense and a stone of stumbling, in the framework of Isaiah 28:16. Maybe I can cross-reference. Isaiah 28:16. We'll see if it's here. There it is. Therefore, thus saith the Lord God, behold, I lay in Zion a foundation, a stone, a tried stone, a precious cornerstone, a sure foundation. He that believeth not make haste. He that believeth shall not make haste. So I'm telling you, Peter and Paul were all over Isaiah, man. So you got these two verses, Isaiah 8:14 and Isaiah 8:28, talking about this. And over here, he's got a cornerstone, a foundation, for a foundation, a stone, that's Eben, a tried stone, a precious cornerstone, Pinah, sure and steadfast, a sure foundation, Musad. Now you know where Musad comes from, with the Hebrew CIA. He that believeth shall not make haste. So that here the elect and the precious stone is replaced by its opposite. 1 Peter, however, puts a verse from Psalms, and it's probably not 1:17-22, but let me see if it's Psalms. What Psalms is? Psalms 1:17-22. Let me see if it's 1:17-22. It's not usually. We might have to search for it. Nope. Okay. So let's try 1:18-22. We'll see. Yeah. Okay. So you cross that out if you got that in your book, and make it 1:18-22. That's usually the case. It's usually a psalm ahead when they write this in the theological dictionary. The stone which the builders refused has become the headstone of the corner. Peter and Paul read all of this. All right. Between Isaiah 28:6 and 8:14, and join. So you got these three verses. 1 Peter, 2:6-8, okay, and Romans 9:32 are all over these verses here. Isaiah 8:14, Isaiah, what was the other one? 28:16. I'll put that up top there, and 1:18-22. Boom. All of these are connected. So let me see. The chi here is probably ep-exegetical, whatever that means. Ep-exegetical. So when you exegete something, you're taking something out of it. So the chi, which means and, is probably exegetical. Namely, in other words, the expression kephale, gnosis. Kephale means head, gnosis means knowledge. From 1722. Oh, kephale. Hold on. Well, I'd have to put this in the Septuagint, and I don't want to do that right now. Psalms 118. Psalms 118, 22. 22. The stone which the builders refused is become the head of the corner. And I'm going to put this into the Septuagint. Onidos kai exudeno otita martyria. See, it's a different martyrion. So we'd have to go to 117:22. For some reason, here we go. Lithos, that's the stone, and the apodokimatio, disallowed. So the stone that was disallowed of the in the house, ginomai, the kephale, which means the head of this, the angle. Oh, Gneas. I thought it was Gnosis, but it's Gneas, the cornerstone. See, that in the Septuagint, it would be 117:22. But if you go into the KJV, it'll be 118:22. So just a little heads up there. When you're trying to throw this stuff back into the Septuagint, make sure you got the actual Greek Septuagint there and not. All right, 14. Let me see if I can make sense of this here. So 1Peter, however, puts a verse from the Psalms 118:22 between Isaiah 28:16 and 8:14. So you got the three of them right up there now, and joins this just as closely to the double expressions in Isaiah 8:14, and Paul in 9:33 joins this to Isaiah 28:16. So you see this Romans 9:33. Romans 9:33. Or is it 32? I don't know. Let me see. 32. Yeah. No, it's actually 33. Behold, I lay in Zion a stumbling stone, a rock of offense, and whoso believeth on him shall not be ashamed. Okay, so that's, and then 9:33, and then 1Peter 2:6-8. So you get all of these verses here. 1Peter 2:6-8 are taken right out of Isaiah 8:14, Isaiah 28:16, and Psalms 118:22. So that's just for reference for you guys there. All right. Joins this to the 1Peter. Thus, 1Peter, following the interpretation of Psalms 118:22, they even corrected it here. And Luke 20:17. Oh, let's see what Luke 20:17. We're going to end on this. I don't want to go too far with you guys. 20:17. Like I said, I wasn't going to go down this road, but we did. And he beheld them. What is this that is written? The stone which the builders rejected, the same has become the head of the corner. So Luke even knows about this. Whosoever shall fall upon that stone shall be broken, but on whomsoever it shall fall, it will grind him to powder. Whoo! And the chief priests and the scribes the same hour sought to lay hands on him, and they feared the people, for they perceived that he had spoken this parable against them. And he had. So he finds the destructive effect of Christ on unbelievers, not only in the stone of Isaiah 8:14, but also the stone of Psalms 118:22. Though elsewhere, the saving significance of Christ is seen in this. Matthew, I got to get a new page here. Matthew 21:42. 21:42. 42. Come on. Jesus said unto them, did you ever read the scriptures? The stone which the builders rejected, the same has become the head of the corner. This is the Lord's doing, and it is marvelous in our eyes. And also Acts, should do a cross-reference, but I'm just going to go to Acts 4:11. 4:11. 4:11. This is the stone which was set at naught of you builders, which has become the head of the corner. Everybody's talking about this. They all know about it. 55. To the material interpretation, which differs from the usual one, there's corresponds in 1Peter, Luke 20. I mean, we can go on forever with this. This is a pretty good study. If you have the theological dictionary, pull it down, get volume 6, and read this thing on proscopto. And I can imagine if we went into scandalizo and scandalon, what we find. But we're going to end it here. There was a lot of other things I wanted to look at. We didn't get a chance to, but we did what we were supposed to do tonight. So we thank you, Lord, for bringing us together and helping us to study your word and share this word with each other. It's amazing. With just one word or one thought, and we could be bouncing all over. There's millions of books that could be written. And John said it. The world couldn't hold all the books that should be written about this, your word. We love you. We give you all the praise, honor, and glory. In Jesus' name, amen. Sammy's crying. Let me let Sammy in. Come on, Sammy. I hear you, boy. Come on. That's my boy. Come here. What are you doing? You hear him? Hear him crying?
Mm-hmm.
Come here. Come here, big boy. Come here, big boy. I got you. There he is. Look at that big boy. Aww. He's a cutie. He's a cutie boy. Say hi. Hi, Sammy. Oh, shut up. Put me down. It's a good. Eli's here. Eli's coming. Hide your hot girl. What's up, boy? I got my tea. It's not so hot anymore. It's good. It's good, cool. It's good, warm. Oh, man, I got to stop recording. Oh, okay. Thank you, God, for everything.